I want to ask you something, and I need you to hear it not from the surface, but from the deepest part of yourself. When was the last time you were truly alone with yourself? No screen, no podcast, no background noise filling the room. Just you and silence. Think about it. You wake up in the morning, and before your eyes have fully adjusted to the light, your hand is already reaching for the phone. Notifications, headlines, other people's opinions about other people's lives. You go to bed at night, and again, the screen, other people's voices, other people's thoughts. And somewhere between all of that, where are you? We live in a strange age. No human in history has ever been this connected, this stimulated, this full. We are the modern pedants, pockets overflowing with information, souls running on empty. We have an opinion on everything. We consume everything. We react to everything. And yet, we do not know ourselves. That is not an accident. The noise is not a preference, it is an escape. We stay busy because we are afraid of what we might find when we stop. We stay distracted because we are afraid of what we might feel when we think. The modern productivity cult sold us a lie. The more you produce, the more you are worth. But that lie has a hidden function. It keeps the most important questions buried, the ones that live in the quiet. Today, we stop the noise for a moment, and I want to take you somewhere you may have been postponing for a long time. Inward. In 1571, Michel de Montaigne walked away from Paris. He was 40 years old. He had served in court, debated in salons, performed in public life. And then he stopped. But here is what matters. He did not retreat to somewhere far away. He retreated to the top floor of his own chateau, a circular stone tower. He locked himself inside with his books, and for years he did only one thing. He examined himself, his thoughts, his contradictions, his petty fears, and his moments of vanity. The times he was ashamed of himself, the times he pretended to be more than he was. He wrote it all down, honestly, without flattery. The result were the essays, one of the most radical acts of self-disclosure in Western literature. Que sais-je? What do I know? That was the question inscribed on the beams of his tower, not as a confession of weakness, as an intellectual posture of extraordinary courage. To say, I do not know for certain. I am still becoming. I hold my conclusions lightly. You need a tower. Not a physical one necessarily, but a space, a silence, a moment. A place where the world stops defining you and your own voice begins to be heard. But when you finally retreat into that silence, what do you find there? Nietzsche warned us about this, and it is worth sitting with his warning. Everything deep loves a mask. We wear masks, all of us. The competent professional, the unbothered one, the person who has it figured out. And these masks are not dishonest exactly. They begin as adaptations, ways of surviving in a world that rewards performance. But over time, something shifts. The mask stays on so long that the distance between who we perform and who we are grows so wide
that we can no longer tell them apart. That is the dangerous place. And it is exactly where Jung enters. Carl Gustav Jung spent his life mapping the architecture of the human psyche. And he kept returning to one concept above all others. He called it the shadow. The shadow is not evil. This is the most common misunderstanding. The shadow is simply this: every part of yourself that you've decided you cannot be. The rage you swallowed because you needed to seem composed. The grief you suppressed because vulnerability felt like danger. The ambition you never admitted, even to yourself. You pushed these things down, into the dark, and you believed that burying them was the same as destroying them. Jung said you were wrong. You did not destroy them. You gave them a room with no windows. And what lives in a room with no windows grows strange. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The anger you buried surfaces at the wrong moment toward the wrong person. The vulnerability you denied turns into a wall that keeps everyone at a safe distance. The desire you never examined quietly shapes every decision you think you are making freely. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Is there a pattern in your life that keeps repeating? The same kind of relationship that always ends the same way. The same professional situation that always collapses at the same point. The same emotion that overtakes you in ways that feel out of proportion. That is not fate. That is not bad luck. That is not the world conspiring against you. That is your shadow speaking, the unintegrated parts of yourself managing your life from below the surface. And here is where we must be honest about the real meaning of psychological power. The internet is full of channels teaching you dark psychology, how to read people, how to influence them, how to stay 3 steps ahead. But that knowledge, in the hands of someone who has never examined their own shadow, is not power. It is a sophisticated mask over an unexamined wound.